بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. معالي نائب وزير التربية والتعليم لتعليم البنات الأستاذة نورة الفائز، سعادة الدكتورة ماروبي الخبيرة الدولية ومديرة قطاع التعليم وتنمية المهارات في منظمة اليونسكو، أصحاب السعادة، أيها الحضور الكريم، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أحييكم في هذا اليوم التربوي التعليمي الفريد في الملتقى الدولي الأول نحو تحقيق المساواة في جودة التعليم العام والتعلم الفاعل المستدام، مقارنة منظومية، والذي يقام برعاية صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير خالد الفيصل وزير التربية والتعليم. نحييكم أيها الإخوة في خطوة نحو الجودة ونحو الإتقان ونحو العمل الجاد المثمر. نستهل هذا اللقاء القصير بتلاوة مباركة من كتاب الله الكريم يتلوها القارئ الشيخ أحمد العجمي.
جاهدة وهي تمر مر السحاب، صنع الله الذي أتقن كل شيء، إنه خبير بما تفعلون. من جاء بالحسنة فله خير منها وهم من فزع يومئذ
معالي الأستاذة نورة بنت عبد الله الفائز نائب وزير التربية والتعليم لتعليم البنات تتفضل بإلقاء كلمة.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سعادة الأخت الدكتورة ماروبي، ضيوف المملكة العربية السعودية الكرام، الإخوة والأخوات الحاضرين، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بداية يسرني أن أرحب بكم جميعا في حفل افتتاح الملتقى الدولي الأول نحو تحقيق المساواة في جودة التعليم العام والتعلم الفاعل المستدام، الذي تنظمه الوزارة بالتعاون مع منظمة اليونسكو. ويشرفني بهذه المناسبة أن أقف أمامكم الآن نيابة عن سمو الوزير وأنقل لكم تحياته وتحيات معالي النواب مع تمنياتهم الصادقة لكم وللقائمين على هذا الملتقى بالتوفيق والنجاح، مقدرين للجميع تشريفهم لحفلنا هذا. قبل البدء أود الإشادة بالسياسة التي تتبعها منظمة اليونسكو مع الدول الأعضاء في مجال تطوير المشروعات والبحوث والدراسات المتخصصة وبناء القدرات الوطنية وتقديم خبراتها واستشاراتها وتوفير المعلومات التي لديها عن أفضل التطبيقات والممارسات في جودة التعليم، كشريك مستقل لمساعدة الدول الأعضاء في بناء سياساتها واستراتيجياتها الخاصة بنفسها. وفي نفس الوقت تقوم المنظمة بالدراسات التحليلية وإجراء المقارنات المرجعية والمساعدة في بناء رؤية منظومية لإيجاد حلول غير تقليدية لمشكلات التعليم. كما لا يفوتني الإشادة بالإطار العام لتشخيص جودة التعليم العام جيكواف وبأدواته التحليلية، مثمنة للدكتورة مارو بجهودها في هذا المجال. الإخوة والأخوات، إن التحدي الحقيقي أمام أي دولة لا يتمثل في توفير فرص التعليم للجميع وإيجاد مكان لكل طالب وطالبة في المؤسسات التعليمية، بل يكمن في كيفية إحداث نقلة نوعية لتحسين جودة التعليم وتهيئة البيئة التربوية المحفزة للإبداع والتميز لترجمة أهم مبادئ التعلم في القرن ال21، وهو التعلم لنكون، والتعلم للمعرفة، والتعلم للعمل، والتعلم للعيش مع الآخرين. لذلك فإن التعليم الجيد المتميز هو الركيزة الأساسية لبناء مجتمع المعرفة وبناء الاقتصاد القائم عليها من خلال الاستثمار الواعي في الإنسان وتأهيله وإعداده للمشاركة في زيادة معدلات الإنتاج وسد حاجة سوق العمل. إن تحقيق حلم التعلم الجيد الذي يتيح لأبنائنا وبناتنا الفرص الحقيقية ليشاركوا في صناعة مستقبل الإنسانية في إطار يحافظ على الخصوصية الثقافية والتميز الحضاري لكل مجتمع، يحتاج منا إلى الكثير من العمل والاجتهاد في ظل ظروف اقتصادية وتنموية تتسم بتحديات ومصاعب تؤثر على قدرتنا على تحقيق ما نصبو إليه. فسباق التعلم حاليا من أبرز ميادين التنافس بين الدول والتكتلات الإقليمية والمنظمات الدولية، بل حتى المؤسسات التجارية والإعلامية، فهو شاغل الدول المتقدمة من أجل الريادة وزيادة معدل التنافسية، كما أنه في ذات الوقت شاغل الدول النامية أيضا من أجل اللحاق بالركب. ووزارة التربية والتعليم بحكم مجال عملها تسعى جاهدة إلى تحسين جودة التعليم العام من خلال خطتها المستقبلية ومشروعاتها وبرامجها التطويرية، وفي مقدمتها مشروع الملك عبدالله لتطوير التعليم العام الذي يستهدف إعادة النظر في كامل عناصر المشروع التربوي ووضع الخطط اللازمة لإصلاحها وتجديدها بما يتلائم وخصائص بيئات التعلم في القرن ال21، بحيث يكون قادرا وبخطوات واثقة على الدخول في المنافسة العالمية وتحقيق رؤية خادم الحرمين الشريفين في التعليم وفي بناء مجتمع سعودي تسوده المعرفة والتنمية والازدهار. الإخوة والأخوات، إن تجويد نظم التعلم وتحقيق المساواة بينها يستلزم بالضرورة تبني خيارات استراتيجية غير تقليدية لردم فجوة التعلم أو تقليصها على الأقل بين المجتمعات التي تنتج المعرفة وبين المجتمعات المستهلكة، حيث تشير المؤشرات والإحصاءات الصادرة عن المنظمات الدولية ومن أبرزها مؤشر التحول إلى مجتمع المعرفة ومؤشرات الجاهزية الإلكترونية ومؤشر الفقر المعلوماتي ومؤشر الاقتصاد المعرفي وتقارير التنمية الإنسانية، تشير كلها إلى الفجوة التي تفصل بين الدول النامية والدول المتقدمة. تشير إلى أن الفجوة تتوسع يوما بعد يوم نتيجة للتطورات المعرفية والتقنية الهائلة والقيود التي تفرضها الدول الكبرى على عمليات تصدير المعرفة وتبادلها، إضافة إلى قصور جهود تطوير التعليم في الدول النامية للاستجابة لتحديات المرحلة لبعدها عن معالجة المؤثرات الحقيقية التي توجه العمل التربوي، وغياب الرؤية التكاملية التي تربط المعرفة والمجتمع وخطط التنمية على المستوى الوطني. ومع إدراك التام بأن الحلول لمعالجة هذه المشكلة معقدة ومتعددة الأوجه، إلا أنني في المقابل على يقين بأن الحوار والشراكة الفكرية بين ممثلي الدول هي أقصر الطرق للوصول إلى حل حقيقي يسهم في تحقيق المساواة في جودة النظم التعليمية وردم فجوة التعلم، متمنية في الوقت ذاته أن ينجح هذا الملتقى في تطوير رؤية دولية مشتركة لتحديد معالم الطريق نحو جودة التعليم العام لما بعد العام 2015 ميلاديا. ختاما، أشكر للجميع مشاركتهم، والشكر موصول لمنظمة اليونسكو على مشاركتها في تنظيم هذا الملتقى، كما أشكر الأساتذة الأفاضل مقدمي أوراق العمل ومنفذي الورش التدريبية المصاحبة وكل من أسهم في الإعداد والتنظيم لهذا الملتقى الدولي، مع خالص التمنيات للجميع بالتوفيق والسداد، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكرا لمعالي الأستاذة نورة الفائز نائب وزير التربية والتعليم لتعليم البنات. أما الكلمة الآن فهي كلمة اليونسكو تلقيها الدكتورة مانسيتسا ماروبي.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony. I thought I still had the voice of a teacher. Maybe I'm losing it. Is this better? Thank you, Master of Ceremony. Your Excellency, Vice Minister of Education, Dr. Nora Al-Fayez, Dr. Ali Al-Hakaming, Director of Tatwir, Dr. Hanem Al-Hanem, Director of Total Quality Management in the Ministry of Education, all dignitaries here present, international guests, ladies and gentlemen, greetings in the holy name of Allah. We always start in Saudi Arabia with prayer, and after that nothing can ever go wrong. This is the secret, isn't it? So may His peace be upon all of us, and may He guide us, make us wiser and more humble as we try to tackle something that is definitely beyond our knowledge and wisdom, but is totally within His. So let us rest in Him. Let me start by confessing that what everybody knows, that it's always a pleasure for me to come to this great It requires the solid women in this room with the support of the solid men in this room. Today, Your Excellency, it is my singular honor and privilege to stand here in this hallowed company and at the opening of a process to not only see to this unwavering commitment that we share as individual countries, because we've been working with you as individual countries, but Crown Prince Khalid Al Faisal, the Honorable Minister of Education. Master of Ceremony, allow me to say that we are in an epoch today where the world is witnessing an unprecedented renaissance of learning and the recognition of learning as the core business of education systems. I call this a renaissance because concern for learning is as old as humankind. It is not new. Yet it is striking how learning suddenly became the leitmotif of even the titles of strategies of education system, education strategies of just about every development agency that works seriously on education. We've seen the word learning almost replace education. We used to talk of education for all. Now all these strategies are talking about learning for all. The rebirth of learning is also evident in its recurrence in titles of intellectual forums, professional meetings, think tanks, research programs, and major conferences such as this one. I want to share with you what, in my opinion, are key factors that converge to fuel this renaissance of learning. And I want to start by saying that these factors are underlined by the fact that, or the reality that, we live in the 21st century, and the hallmark, one of the hallmarks of the 21st century is fast, constant, and unpredictable change. This change is manifest in many ways. The first way is the expansive exposure to diversity, be it real or virtual. If you think just in the last year, how many nationalities of people you've interacted with face to face, how many countries you've visited, how many strange foods you ate that are not your indigenous, and so on and so forth. Now, this exposure to diversity is also virtual. It's in our televisions, our mobile devices, on Twitter, on social media, and everything else. The expansive exposure to diversity demands that we learn how to live together harmoniously in diversity. And this learning how to live together in diversity has made or broke us. If you look at the worst conflict in recent times, they came from people insisting that others should be like them, rather than learning how to live with the diversity. It came from insisting that difference is inferior. Instead of accepting that I'm just different from you, you tend to believe I'm inferior, therefore I must convert to who you are. So expansive exposure to me is one of the reasons constant learning is very important. You are constantly learning how to behave because you are in a different context. The second one is knowledge and information explosion. And this requires the need to learn to select what information and knowledge matters. When we were students, our challenge was where to find the information for your assignment. Our challenge was to find that the library book has been checked out and that classical book is so fundamental to your assignment. Our children now are overwhelmed with the amount of knowledge they can get at the click of a button. Their challenge is actually to learn how to sift through this knowledge and to sift chaff from the germ and to know what to use and what to discard. The constant barrage of information and knowledge that confronts you on a daily basis, it's actually overwhelming. And it's a new form of learning that we didn't have to do in the 20th century, even in the early lives of this 21st century. The third point that is often repeated is that we do live in the so-called knowledge economies, where knowledge, skills, affect, and technology savvy, and the application thereof of these are just fundamental to sustained productivity, which is the basis for sustainable growth, which is the basis for shared growth. But, as we know, learning is one of the most effective and proactive and productive ways of sharing growth. When people do not have good quality education, they have no chance of earnings. When people cannot earn, they cannot share in the growth of their economies. And without learning, you cannot have that chance. So learning is an indispensable way to acquire that knowledge, skills, affect, and technology savvy that keep our economies growing, but most importantly, that bear the promise of poverty reduction and inclusive development. Without learning, there is no poverty reduction. There is no inclusive development. The fourth point is that because of the pace and frequency of change, whether this change is coming from constant innovation, whether it's coming from natural disasters like tsunamis and climate change associated disasters, whether it comes from man-made disasters, whether it comes from the mode of work being changing, or the short lifespans of our jobs in terms of the frequency with which we change jobs, or just sheer fashion if you think of how many times you've changed your mobile devices in the past 2 years, and not because it didn't work, but just for the heck of it. But when you change it, you need to learn how to use it, isn't it? This constant change and the pace of it means that the skills, knowledge, affects, and technology become obsolete very fast. And when they become obsolete, they require us to constantly learn, to retool, and to upskill. The fifth point is that effective and timely learning has become the determinant of agility to adapt to the constant change. If you are unable to learn, you can't adapt. And if you are ineffective at learning, you lose the agility to adapt. And therefore, the effective functioning in the 21st century is absolutely necessary for one to become a lifelong learner. Actually, as somebody said this morning, the best outcome of 21st century education system is having enabled someone to know how to learn. So learning how to learn is much more important than learning what to learn, because the what becomes obsolete very fast. So in other ways, learning has become the source of human resilience. It is the only renewable, real, regenerative energy that we have. Everything else is depletable, because human ingenuity comes from the ability to learn. Learning is what gives effect to the documented impact of education. We know about the development of impact of education. It's well documented. But education is fundamentally about learning. If you participate in an education system and you don't learn, you will not reap the development impact of education, whether it's at the individual level, or at the levels of households and families, at the level of countries, or at the level of the world. The seventh point is that at higher levels, learning is what gives the efficiency enhancers that make economies competitive, as the Honorable Vice Minister just said. And my last point is the deepening concern for equity, inclusion, social justice. Put pressure not just on learning, but learning for all. So it is not a surprise that most development agencies are talking about learning for all and not for some. However, Master of Ceremony, ladies and gentlemen, while the reasons for the learning renaissance may be unmistakably compelling, the systems on which we depend to facilitate structured formal learning are significantly failing to do so for the majority of learners. They do so for the minority. As I keep saying, there isn't one single country in the world that does not have first-rate education system and effective learning in its borders. That is not the issue. National attainment in terms of the grade level a person is in and the actual educational achievement in terms of the competencies they have acquired, and that a majority of learners, an uncomfortable majority, are not acquiring competencies that are commensurate to their grade levels. Therefore, people do go through our education systems and they go to our schools. They look like they are learning, but the reality is that they are either learning very little or sometimes not even at all. Right now where we stand, we have like 130 million primary school kids who are enrolled in primary schools actually leave primary education without sustainable basic literacy. That's quite stunning. So the question is, and this is not just in developing countries, nearly 60% of low-income fourth graders in the US do not perform their mathematics at their grade level. We are told the completion rate for high school in the US is 71%, which means almost a third of children in the US do not complete secondary education. They don't complete their general education. The recent report that we launched in the European Union by the European Commission shows that 1 in 5 Europeans lack the functional literacy required to effectively function in their environment. So then, it is not a shock that we have now caught this phrase of the global learning crisis. The systems are somehow failing. And the failure of the systems to deliver good quality education and effective learning opportunities has been the motivation for the UNESCO Secretariat to design the GQAF. The mystery lying behind the GQAF as a question is, so what is it that is preventing our education systems from providing good quality education and from providing effective learning opportunities and to effectively support learning? Now, the answer to this question in the GQAF, we believe, is that the answer could lie anywhere in the system, and that accountability to deliver good quality education and to effectively support learning can lie at any levels or in any aspect of the education system. The problem is we often do not do the thorough analysis to know where the problem lies. So we take a shotgun approach, and you know the shotgun, you shoot and aim. You spread the pellets and you hope some will hit the target. But if we did the analysis, we would aim and shoot. And particularly in environments of very scarce resources, where the pellets are few. And if those few miss the target, the pellets are gone anyway. Somebody spoke of resource efficiency. The bulk of the inefficiency in our systems in trying to facilitate learning comes from our impatience with the deep diagnostics that we have to do in order to point our finger at where the causal links lie. Dr. Masood was talking about causal links. And this is why the GQAF has been developed. during the course of 2011 and 2012. Now we have 10 countries that have applied this framework. And during this conference, particularly today and hopefully early tomorrow, we are going to focus on sharing these binding constraints that prevent us from delivering good quality education and to facilitate learning effectively. Your Excellency, we do have a habit of celebrating problems. We meet and meet again and again just to repeat ourselves and repeat and repeat and repeat. A dear friend of mine told me when I said this, he says, you know that, Manziza, you know that the 3 R's of education are not reading, writing, and arithmetic. They are repeat, repeat, and repeat. So perhaps we do need to repeat to ourselves many times until our voice echoes enough that we don't want to hear ourselves talking about problems and constraints, but we want next time when we meet to be sharing progress. And not progress in inputs and progress in finance and progress in this, but progress in learning and for all, and more particularly so for those who are at the margins of our societies. So I hope that as we share these problems, we share them so that we can unbind and rid ourselves of them. It would be a real sad commentary and quite a catastrophe if we were to meet again. I know the Sultanate of Oman has offered to host the next meeting. My own country, INAPS. Everybody in this room, if we multiplied it in our days and say, what on earth did this money buy? We are going to talk about the resource efficiency of our education systems. We have to walk the talk and be resource efficient ourselves and earn the privilege to be in Saudi Arabia today. It is not our right. It is a privilege because we are servants of the people whom we represent. And if we waste their money and we come here one more time to say that so many % of children are finalizing primary education without having learned, I would say just declare this, just close the shop and tell us, go to some place my Lord will not allow me to pronounce with my lips. But since we don't want the Vice Minister to send us to that place, we better promise her next time we invite her to Botswana or to Oman or wherever else, we would have benchmarked our education system's health, and we would have monitored the improvement of the health, not only in terms of inputs, but in terms of the actual improvement of learning outcomes as desired by our countries and as needed for our development, and that we are putting on the table demonstrable progress. Your Excellency, I want to challenge every person in this room. We are preparing for the post-2015 debate. It is very clear that equity of learning is going to probably be the education goal. And Lord forbid, if the countries that are participating in the GQuAF also just go there to sing along with the rest of the countries, just to report statistics of children and people who are not learning. So, what are we doing? We are trying today now to turn the page from analyzing challenges and constraints to now moving to the design of responsive interventions. How do we address these? And I know when I stand here, I speak to you exactly as I would speak if I were in my own country. Because if your countries are not my country, I have no reason to be here breaking my old back, which is ailing, and for no other reason. I am here because I will put every sweat that I would put, as it were, in my country. I'm speaking to a lot of believers in this room, and your religion and mine, different though they may be in the human expression, in the spiritual expression, they are one. And they both tell us that service is a form of prayer. So we must serve as we serve unto our God. And if God sent us into this world as educators, lo and behold, if we just keep saying so many children are not learning, somewhere we are sinning, isn't it? And Lord, forgive us for our sins. So, we want to turn the page, Your Excellency, to develop these interventions, to effectively implement them, to systemically monitor their progress, to institutionalize sustained systemic improvement, and to put our education systems on a sustainable growth trajectory towards fulfilling their mandates. That is the crux of this workshop, is to kickstart the second phase of the GQuAV. No more litany of what is lacking, but let's deal with what is lacking, and not with more resources. I heard even Saudi Arabia, my dear sister, this morning repeatedly saying, not enough funds, not enough funds. And I thought, if Saudi Arabia isn't putting enough funds in the education system, then who is? We've got to learn to do more with the same resource envelope that we have. Otherwise, our analytical tool on efficiency is just words. And words are wind. After I finish here, my words are gone, isn't it? Unless they are followed by action. So, Your Excellency, I wish to say that the challenge is big. We do need political support. Because without political support, with all the technical prowess, we will not win. But for all those who are in this room, we need technical prowess, because our politicians can dream all they want about their countries. If they are not backed up by serious technical work, it will just become dreams, and soon the dreams will escalate into hallucinations. So, let's give our political leadership support, and because they are our political capital, let's demand support from them, and let's have this very conference get very clear when we part from this room. What exactly are we going to do to make sure that when we next meet, we are meeting to document progress in learning? Because that is the test of whether our education is of good quality. Your Excellency, I would be grossly remiss if I finished my remarks without thanking the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia sincerely on behalf of UNESCO and on my behalf for hosting this conference and for having to put up with all the headaches that I don't even want to enumerate. And in the near future, I hope you would look back and say it was worth it. I also want to say, in his usual easy style, Dr. Hanem and his team have raised the bar for the next country that will host the next event. And so to Dr. Hanem, to Ms. Nouf Karim particularly, and the rest of the team, no words can ever capture my gratitude, the gratitude of UNESCO, and I am very certain the gratitude of each and every person in this room. I am not going to wish us a fulfilling conference because I cannot wish it upon us, but I hope we are going to earn a fulfilling conference, and that as we start from tomorrow onwards, we really just roll our sleeves and work. Thank you very much, Madam Vice Minister.
شكرا للدكتورة ماروبي وأصحاب المعالي أصحاب السعادة أيها الإخوة والأخوات. ندعوكم الآن إلى متابعة فيلم وثائقي بعنوان التعليم ثروة لا تنضب.
It is almost 100 years between 1926 and 2022, during which modern education in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was first established and developed. On March 16, 1926, the Directorate of Education was created to introduce modern education. Gradually, education was spread across the kingdom, and they grew robustly 100% every decade. Today, there are over 32,000 schools.
ما يطلع من الجهاز. ما يطلع من الجهاز. لا يخرج.
The aspiration is to become a productive knowledge society capable of competing globally by 2022. For building a knowledge-based economy capable of sustainable development, creative human resources must be nurtured, and the technological environment should be set up with accommodating infrastructure. Working towards that end, the Saudi Arabian government is reevaluating its national plans and restructuring its governmental mechanism in order to achieve sustainable development and to adapt to a knowledgeable society. Education is the most important, and so gets the lion's share in the government budget. After making education freely available to all, attention is now focused on attaining quality excellence. King Abdullah ibn Abdulaziz Public Education Development Project expresses his vision for human development. Young people should be able to acquire knowledge and skills that allow them to contribute to their country's sustainable growth. By becoming a knowledgeable-based society, the kingdom will have a global competitive edge. The project was initiated in 2007 with a budget of 9 billion Saudi riyals. The project operates with a strategic vision seeking quality excellence in all educational processes and elements. Students should be motivated to to attain the highest scholastic accomplishments and also learn career skills that enable them to overcome the life challenges of the 21st century. The school must make the learner the focus of its activities and create a learning conductive environment and simulates excitements and motivation for creativity, initiative, and spirit of good and productive citizenship. The DOLI project works on several programs that address, for instant education leadership, professional upgrading of supervisors and teachers, and revamping the school environments by effectively utilizing new teaching and learning technologies. The extracurricular program is designed to help learners develop their personalities and characters. The educational curriculums are being developed according to international standards. Successfully introducing changes requires a real partnership among parties involved in the educational process and an informed participation by the community. Genuine investment in human resources begins at schools. One bold initiative is the expansion of preschool education, and the target is to enable 90% of children aged 4 to 5 years to enroll in kindergartens. Related objective is to improve private school standards and boost their enrollments to 25%.
نسعى إلى منظومة عمل عصرية تكرس ثقافة الانفتاح الواعي وتدعو إلى التعرف على التجارب المميزة في مجال التربية والتعليم للدول الأخرى والأخذ منها بما يحقق أهدافنا الرئيسية المتمثلة في خدمة ديننا الحنيف ورفعة وطننا ونهوضه برسالته وإعداد أبنائنا وبناتنا الإعداد الأمثل لحياة كريمة.
Real investment for education quality must begin at the school level, and an effort to develop any element of the educational processes should be viewed holistically. The foundational base must include a strategic vision and integrated system with policies that chart educational activities, a supportive leadership, and an effective partnership with community institutions. Saudi education shows a performance improvement, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia can claim a new competitive status globally, thanks to the dedicated men and women of education, but first and foremost to our country's leadership. I ask government officials in all sectors to adopt the concept and principles of quality standards and excellence. They should apply quality benchmarks to their plans, action programs, and works. Officials must be diligent to make continual improvements in order to achieve quality targets and excellence in the production sector, government and private sector services. That way, our ambitious vision for 2020 will be realized.
معالي الأستاذة نورة الفايز نائب وزير التربية والتعليم لتعليم البنات أصحاب السعادة. أيها الإخوة والأخوات، شكرا جزيلا لكم أن شرفتم هذا الاحتفال القصير. أخص بالشكر معالي الأستاذة نورة التي تكرمت في هذا اليوم حقيقة وشرفت هذا الاحتفال نيابة عن أصحاب المعالي. أيضا شكرا لها، فهي دائما داعمة وقد دعمت هذا الملتقى الأول بما يحتاج إليه من الدعم المعنوي والمادي. شكرا جزيلا لها. شكرا لكم جميعا، وندعوكم الآن إلى مأدبة الغداء. الإخوة من هنا هذا هو الطريق الذي يؤدي إلى صالة الطعام، أيضا الأخوات من الجهة الثانية الطريق يؤدي بهن إلى صالة الطعام. شكرا لكم. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكرا.